Well, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez may be the face of the new Democratic Party, but at the very top, where the levers of power are, there's some older people. And that fact is having a big effect on the presidential race all of a sudden. There are already a lot of real questions about Joe Biden's fitness for office, forgetting stuff, saying weird things. Now, Senator Bernie Sanders has suspended his campaign after he underwent emergency surgery for blocked arteries today. So this is a major development in the race. How will it affect who becomes the Democratic nominee? Lisa Booth is a senior fellow at Independent Women's Voice, a frequent guest here. We're happy to have her tonight.
Hi,
Lisa,
Tucker.
And by the way, I want to say this with sincerity. We're, of course, hoping that Senator Sanders is okay, of course, and that he's back in the race, because we are. But
Absolutely.
If he doesn't get back in the race, what does this mean?
Well, exactly. I mean, we sincerely hope that he gets better. He's a husband and a father, so of course we want him to be in good health. But look, this does have a big impact on the race, and depending on how big of an impact it has is dependent on how long he is out of the race, right? So, I mean, look, if you're off the campaign trail when you are facing a very contested and crowded primary field, that is clearly not good for your campaign, particularly at a time where Elizabeth Warren has been on the rise and you have been on the decline. If you look at Elizabeth Warren in Iowa, she's up 7% since June. New Hampshire, she's up 8%. And the big date to keep an eye on is that October 15th debate, because we've seen these debates really help shape the race. So if Bernie Sanders is out of that debate, particularly at a time where he's polling at 11% in the Iowa caucus and 11% in New Hampshire, that's not going to be good for him.
No, it's not. I mean, it's interesting that we haven't talked about this openly. I mean, all of us want to be polite, which I think is a good impulse. But 78, and he's not the only one who's, of advanced age in this race. I mean, statistically speaking, it's tough to pull off a presidential campaign, much less running the most powerful country in the world at that age. I guess we're not allowed to say that. I'm 50 and I feel myself slowing down. So
I'm
are we going to have
I feel old sometimes?
Right. So are we going to have an honest conversation about this at some point, or are we going to continue to pretend that 78 is just like 38?
Well, I mean, it certainly does put his age in the forefront, right? And especially when you have someone like Elizabeth Warren, who's younger, who's more vibrant, who really shares a lot of the same policy positions you have, who's actually been smarter also about not tainting herself as a socialist, which puts her in a better position for a possible general election and also makes her look more electable in the eyes of Democratic primary voters. And you really can't underestimate the fact of, look, the Iowa caucus and the New Hampshire primary are so vital in any presidential election, whether it's Republicans or Democrats. And those states are really geared towards candidates like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, white liberal states. So,
right.
Any demise or, any decline for Bernie Sanders helps Elizabeth Warren. And we've seen in the most recent Des Moines Register poll of the caucus goers who went for Bernie Sanders in 2016, 32% are supporting Elizabeth Warren right now versus 25% for Bernie Sanders. So she's already been, even with Bernie Sanders in good health in the race, she has already been siphoning off his supporters in both Iowa and New Hampshire.
Yeah, I think it's, again, not being mean.
Right. No, of course.
It's over. Yeah. Lisa Booth, great to see you tonight. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Tucker.